Hey guys, what's up? This is Nick with Landshark Lifestyle. Today I'm going to be talking about the Adonis ratio, how it applies to the male body, so building your male physique to the perfect level of attraction according to nature and the Adonis rule, the golden ratio. I'm going to go ahead and get into what that is exactly, how it applies, how to measure yourself, and how to set your own goals according to the Adonis ratio. So I'm going to go ahead and get into it. I forgot to do this earlier, but I'm going to put it into the intro anyway. Please like and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications because I am trying to grow this channel a little bit, and you clicking those buttons is really going to help me out and help the YouTube algorithm kind of get me out there a little bit more. So I'd really appreciate it if you guys did that real quick for me. So the Adonis rule and how it works is like this. You've got this number right here, 1.618, like I mentioned earlier. That's going to be the magical ratio number. Basically is how it works is you take a waist size. So in this example, we're going to be using size 33 waist. And then you calculate that number times 1.618 here. And that's going to give you what your ideal shoulder size should be. So if you do that, like it says right up here, you're going to get 53. And when you get to 53, that's a pretty big shoulder size, so it might be hard to get to. A lot of people don't necessarily meet this exactly, but they're really close. So like Hugh Jackman, I think his shoulders are a couple inches smaller, but he's like right there. He's really close. And so is Henry Cavill, who plays Superman. So a lot of these like actors and celebrities that are really like muscular and people are attracted to, you know, they have this ratio somehow in their body. At least to some extent. And then there's the golden ratio too. It's the same exact number, this 1.618 here. The Adonis ratio is specifically for the body and for like human beings and how this applies to them. But the golden ratio is the same number, and that shows how broad it is. It really applies to all kinds of stuff in nature. It applies to flowers and hurricanes and spiral galaxies and honeybee reproduction, DNA, human faces, really anything that has to do with any organization or structure or, you know, attractiveness in nature is gonna somehow relate to this golden ratio, which is really cool. So if you guys haven't heard of this at all, I would definitely do a little bit of research, watch some other YouTube videos about it and stuff. It's really interesting how it applies to everything. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how to measure your bodies real quick so you can go ahead and figure out how to do that. Okay, so my measurements are here in this book here. I'll go ahead and put a picture on the screen, and then these are the Adonis rule goals, but I'll go ahead and put them on the screen so that way you guys can see them here. Okay, so I'm going to just briefly go over how to kind of do the measurements so that way you can figure out what you need to be doing. So like the pictures that I was just showing with different measurements in there, you don't need to do all of them, but you can if you want. So we'll just start at the top and kind of go down. You do your neck first, right at the peak of the neck. Then at the shoulders, you'd go right here, right across the T on the shoulder here. That's where you want to go, is the peak, the widest part. Then you go down to the chest. You measure right at the base of the chest there, right under the armpits and around the back. All right, then you go down the waist. You don't want to try and get that skinniest part of the waist there. And if you can see here, you go through in the waist and you wrap it around to get that number there. So you can see mine's about 33 right there. That's what I'm basing my measurement off of. And then you're gonna wanna do your arms. Basically, you wanna put your arm straight out in the air like this, palm up. And when you do that, you're gonna measure right around this peak of your bicep right there. That'll give you your arm size. For wrist size, you're just gonna go right around the base of the wrist here. And then for your legs, for your thighs, you're gonna wanna go right on the kind of meat of your thigh right here. So you're gonna wanna just wrap that around, and you're gonna do your knee next. So on your knee, you're gonna just go right around the middle of the knee there. And that should be all the measurements. Like I said, you don't need all of them, but that's just kind of the measurements that I did. And we're gonna use a bunch of them. So okay, so now that we have our measurements, we wanna figure out what we're gonna be doing with them and how they're gonna apply to our goals. I went ahead and wrote out all of my numbers here so that way you guys can see them. So these over here are my body measurements in inches. So like this one, for example, is 12.5 inches. Now these are the calculations that you're going to want to do to get to the Adonis ratio for all these different measurements. The main one is going to be the waist times the 1.618 here to get your shoulders. That's really the only important one that's really important. But the other kind of few of them are just things to work on. They kind of fit into the ratio as well. So just something to look at. And so if you do these calculations here, then you'll end up getting these goal numbers over here in inches. And so I also calculate a percent growth needed over here. And that's just an easy way to see what parts are a little bit lacking and what parts don't really need that much attention. So for me, you can see here 32% and 21% for my shoulders and my biceps. So my arms and my shoulders need to grow a little bit more, and if they could reach towards like this 15% range or so, then I'd be pretty even though I wouldn't necessarily be all the way to my goal. I'd be more even. So that's why I like to break it down like this, not necessarily to reach perfection and reach these exact numbers and stuff, because it's not necessarily feasible, but it is an easy way to see where you need to improve and what you want to focus on. And this is kind of the universal rule for attraction in nature. So this is a pretty good outline of what you'd want to be kind of doing. You know, obviously, if you do a sport or something, or if you work out for a particular reason, then you might not want to focus on this because you've got other things to put your energy towards and, you know, reasons to be at the gym. But if you just go to the gym to look good and feel good, and, you know, you just enjoy working out and you want to, you know, keep working on an ideal physique, then this is a really great goal to have and to work towards. So even if you never completely reach it, it's, you know, a really good goal to work towards, because it puts you on the path to, you know, perfection according to the Adonis ratio. So, okay, I'm all done. That is all I have to say about the Adonis ratio for this time being. Definitely go do some research on your own though into the golden ratio and stuff. It's pretty cool. It really applies to a lot of stuff. It's very fascinating. So go check that out. Also, try and get your calculations down. Go ahead and pause the video and write down the numbers and stuff so you can do this yourself and figure out what your goals are to go ahead and reach that ratio. Like I said, this is just kind of for fun and just for, you know, general attraction. You don't necessarily have to reach the goal or anything to like look attractive, but, you know, it's kind of a cool goal to have, something to work towards, and it's a long-term thing that you can constantly build towards. So go ahead and write that stuff down, at least see where you are and see if there's something that you can improve on that maybe you didn't think about before. So go ahead and follow my Instagram, Landshark Lifestyle. Go ahead and like and subscribe on my YouTube channel, and I will see you guys at some point in the next week with another video.